I would like to introduce myself as a little girl, and that's my name, Talitha, which means damsel. And no better place to be where I am today in a museum, because it makes you look at the past, makes you look at the present, and it makes you look for the future. And having this exhibition here, I think it's wonderful, especially this year. We look towards the British Empire, and we look back to our ancestry, and it's to see how it was arranged in this museum. I feel very passionate about this because at times I remember Martin Luther King and all that he has in his dream, and this exhibition is part of his dream. I feel very, touched when I walked in and I saw the head of that African man, because my son is an artist that's dead. He's buried at Highgate Cemetery, and a renowned young artist had a short time on this earth, but at 15 he did a bust like that, and it was terracotta and it was of his granddad. And I thought, I wish I could have had that on show like that today. This week, when I came in, it's something that touched me was words. They said, "Word made flesh and dwelt amongst us." And once the words are there, they're written on the wall. We can see in the text that's on the tiles. I thought the artist and the arrangement in that room was brilliant. And I'm speaking now because as chair this year of CAP, which is the Community Advice Panel to the museum, the meetings are warm and the discussions are great. The future is a vision for our children and grandchildren. And I speak too as a place of respite. I spoke up at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and I said I would like to see how museums could be valued for people in caring, because when they're in their homes, there's somewhere to go to. You don't have to pay to go in, just to relax, meet other carers, and get that zest and to go back and do the caring. Looking at Manchester now, the new Manchester, as I said, in New England, we look at the new Manchester. I remember my dad coming up the ship, from Liverpool on the ships into Manchester docks and getting passed for the police to go on board. Now I could go and sit down by the lorry and enjoy it. So
what about people who would say, well, there's a new Manchester and it's all glass and it's concrete and it's chrome and it's everything else. We don't need to look at the past. What would you say? What argument would you give to them?
Well, a person that doesn't know the past, if your person is like a tree, I read, without roots. So if you know where Manchester is coming from, when I was coming, I was selected to come as the first Caribbean nurse in Bury. And when I was coming, one of the nuns, I was taught by the Ursuline nuns and the Jesuit priests. And I think that's what gave me my strength and all the cultural things with what my grandparents had taught me. And I thought, this is it. We must look to the past to make it a better future, because we are here now, so that the children could take it on and extend it. This is a place that I used to bring my children. I didn't have much money or so, but we'd go to the museum. I had visitors come over, these lads. We get on the bus, we come from Rochdale, and say we're going to the museum. And we had a wonderful day, and then I treat them at the corner house, and they have fish and chips. Now they can have their own meal here.
So you've obviously used it when your children were young. The kind of quite dry, looking at stuffed animals and things, which is still part and parcel of the museum, is still there. How do you see an exhibition like this moving the debate on?
It will move the debate on, because people will come in and see it and revealing history. I was reading the old history, but I won't reveal it now, but a certain writer from here, and he wrote This was a short text about the short history of England, and it was all about what's going on now. But it's so interesting to know how the empire came about and how this dreadful thing had happened. And it was all done out of fear of losing power. That was it, with the French and the Dutch and so holding the power. And that's how Britain come rule the waves. So looking at the future is a prophecy. And Martin Luther had that prophecy, because on Saturday I was at Moss Lane East, where Jesse Jackson was, and it was wonderful, and it was packed. So many people. He's giving people hope and being independent. And that's why I've always had that independency. I was always one that keep things going, keep things moving. It's just like the ocean, you know? And at times when I feel down, I listen to the breeze and I thought, that could be the waves on this beach, and listen to the trees, and it gives me hope to go on for my children and grandchildren.
Two things from that.
Yeah.
One is that the notion that you obviously have a very, very close family,
Yes.
which something like slavery must have meant that father lost son, mother lost daughter.
The severance, when I imagine it, it makes me feel, because I know when I lost Lawrence, you feel as a mother, you go into labour and there's no baby to be born, that tightness in your tummy and the tears and how to get over that, you know. And in Barbados, and they do it with singing and music, and my granddad used to talk to me. My roots come from Scotland, and the Grants family, and I just contacted Barbados High Commissioner and said, what can you do to help us, you know, with the caring. And so now we are getting older, and they might do a feature on me. But then when he told me, there's an association in Manchester, and I phoned this gentleman, Wallace Patrick, and he said, are you Wallace? He said, yes. And what's your name? I said, Elizabeth Talitha Grant. He said, I'm a Grant. But and it only turned out to be blood relation. And he came 2 years to England before I did. So that's how lineage go. You know, it's something, and I know it's not, because I said I'm going to let him have a photograph of my dad when he walked through the door. Although he's a lighter skin, he was the image of my father. You know, so it brought it. I thought, gosh, we never even met in Barbados. But I know of the aunties, and was telling what Pa Grant told me. So he said, Pa Grant, he said, Pa Grant. And the people were connecting as we go on. So I'm looking at generations now in England, and children travelling. You could meet it to relations like that. Nothing is impossible. But
are you generally sort of positive about things in terms of the black community within the UK? Do you think that things are going to change for the better?
Yes, because there are a lot of black people doing marvellous work in isolation. But we need to come together as a strong body of people. Mandela, he was in the papers today, he said, it's no use being small, playing small. You need to come and to be seen. It's not our darkness that scares us, it's our light. And it's powerful. So they have to understand that. So when you're little, you cannot be strong, but holding hands and doing things and trusting will make people strong. That's what I found out for the meeting, that the trust that had gone out from the 200 years ago, the trust. I said, well, look at the word, spell it, take the T off, and you have rust. So it needs us to clean that rust off and make us new again. So